Mora Mai. Yeah, I really do appreciate you making the effort to come here today. Bit of a journey we've had to get here today. 6 years ago, Dave Quirk and I came up with this idea of trying to help people on the Isle of Man understand a bit more. We thought we'd start an institute for energy and sustainability. But it's morphed into something sort of bigger than that, really. We still put on courses, we still want to help people understand and to share the vision that we and other people have. So what we then have morphed into is really trying to get the business community together, try and get a vision that people can understand. So I do chair a small committee, I should say, in the Chamber of Commerce, and that's really brought businesses together to really identify what they want, what they would like the Isle of Man to look like in the future. And it was clear that they came back and they want affordable energy. They want that energy to be made with renewable infrastructure, so it's green, and they want that secure. And as Professor Curran said in his impact report, we want to use those abundant natural resources the Isle of Man enjoys, and we want to work together. And that means the public sector and the private sector working together. And I was fortunate to spend 6.5 years of my life as an MHK and worked with some great people in there. And I could see that the frustration with the bureaucracy, not all ideas can come out of government, and the private sector it's got an abundance of talent, it's got drive, it's got motivation, and to try and get those two bodies working together, that's really what's drawn us here today. So we're going to hear some great speakers today. We've got speakers who will talk about a new model that we worked on. We've got the inventor of that model here today. It's an energy plan model that really will help the Isle of Man understand what is the best solution for the Isle of Man. We've also got speakers here today which are coming from another set of islands in the North Sea, and they're going to tell us how they are 2 years down that path of delivering 100% electricity within the next 8 years. We're going to hear how economists here on the Isle of Man, accountancy companies, really do see that the new economy will be strengthened and supported by renewable energy. Renewable energy that businesses will need to use. They need renewable energy to satisfy their stakeholders, to satisfy their customers, because people now realise that we have to be seen to be doing the right thing. And we're also going to hear from Professor Curran. Now, I met Professor Curran a few years ago in the Climate Change Transformational Board, and he really has done so much for the islands. It was his vision, his motivation that really did encourage me, and I'm grateful that he's able to speak here today. And then we'll be having some professors from the Aalborg University who can really tell us what their understanding is. They've been working in this sector for many, many years, and the Isle of Man's in a great position now to listen to these experts and to build on that and to come up with a solution. But first of all, I'm absolutely delighted that my friend and the Honourable Jane Poole-Wilson has agreed to come and open this event today. As I said, Jane and I did work together in the Climate Change Transformational Board, and we had some great times there. Not always agreeing with everybody around the table, but certainly Mrs. Poole-Wilson and I did have a unity where we really did want the public to be heard, and we could see that vision that Tynwald had agreed unanimously for net zero by 2050, and I know Mrs. Poole-Wilson still carries that ambition and motivation, so that's why I'm particularly pleased that Mrs. Poole-Wilson's agreed to open the event today. So thank you very much for listening to me, and I welcome Jane Poole-Wilson.
Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you, Ralph, and the Energy Sustainability Centre for inviting me to say a few words at the outset of what promises to be a really worthwhile day, with the opportunity to hear from a range of contributors sharing their work and ideas about routes to a low-carbon economy and, in particular, tackling the energy transition. The theme of today's conference is timely and of great importance, not only because of the need to address the impact of climate change, but also because our future energy policy is crucial to our future economic growth and success. The energy transition is accelerating globally. The US Inflation Reduction Act is expected to channel $1.7 trillion into low-carbon investment in the next 10 years. China intends to build nearly 900 gigawatts of wind and solar by 2025, and capital investment in wind and solar will overtake capital investment in upstream oil and gas for the first time in 2022. The significance of this transition is reflected in the government's draft economic strategy. We recognise the imperative that the Isle of Man isn't left behind in this seismic energy system shift. We know that businesses require to be able to demonstrate their green credentials in order to win business. That is why we have placed sustainability at the heart of the draft economic strategy. In addition, the island had already committed to achieving net zero by 2050, and now, following recent Tynwald approval, has interim targets of 35% reduction in emissions by 2030 and 45% reduction by 2035, as well as a climate change plan for the coming 5 years. Within the climate change plan, we have committed to developing an energy strategy that delivers 100% renewable electricity by 2030, along with a minimum of 20 megawatts local renewables installed by 2026. There is much to be done, and the decarbonisation of our energy supply is critical, both to make the significant strides needed to reduce our overall emissions and to support our economy today and for the future. We also know that energy policy has taken on a new urgency in light of the Ukraine war and the proxy war that Russia has been directing at Europe through the weaponisation of gas supply. This forces us to think afresh about the importance of maximising our own abundant, natural, renewable resources and considering the economic costs and benefits of different electricity generating technologies in the round. Balancing cost, security, and low carbon is now more important than ever and is in the forefront of thinking as we work towards net zero. We are in a very active phase of energy policy development now, intending to publish an energy strategy in the coming months that will address our route to a net zero power system and the fundamental direction that the island will take in terms of our energy transition. Questions around investment, around the role of imports versus homegrown energy, jobs, and wider economic benefits will be key. We have a unique and very exciting opportunity on the Isle of Man to shift to a low-carbon power system. In contrast to many other jurisdictions, we are not faced with a gradual transition over decades, but with the need for a somewhat wholesale replacement of power generation in the coming years, and that's regardless of net zero. Our fossil fuel assets are coming towards the end of their lives over the next decade or so, and therefore major investment is needed, irrespective of our decarbonisation agenda. We have to make changes, but we are going to make net zero changes. We already have a strong evidence base on which to begin to make these decisions. The Arup Future Energy Scenarios report provides a platform on which we can build. We also recognise that this is a major shift that we are about to embark upon, and therefore we will not simply rely on the evidence we have already collected. We must also be open to the potential benefits of emerging technologies. For example, we have recently seen reports suggesting that we may soon be seeing major cost reduction in tidal technologies. Thus, I welcome the opportunity today to hear from the keynote speakers who are involved in the work to transition to a green and sustainable future, and to engage in the conversation about our own transition and the options and the opportunities for the island. We are open to alternative perspectives and the feeding in of new and fresh ideas. We are open to the opportunities renewable energy will provide for our households, for our businesses, and for our communities to become more self-sufficient. We are open to the prospect of new sectors and jobs that will be needed to support these new solutions for many years to come. And we are open to maximising and monetising our natural resources, which we have in abundance, to provide our island with long-term security and sustainability. We strongly encourage your engagement with us as we develop policy in this space in the coming weeks and months. Thank you very much.